Hello and welcome to Larimer County Snapshot News. I'm Jorie Kramer, and today we're taking a look at what's been going on around Larimer County. We're using reports from the Colorado Citizen Observer Corps, a project of the League of Women Voters of Larimer County.
I'm James Sims. Adam Eggleston will join us later with some thoughts on mental health in Larimer County. Then, Jorie will have a conversation with local mystery writer Kathleen Donnelly. But first, here are some of what our local governments did in May. The town of Berthoud is going to ask voters to form a downtown development authority, reports Observer Nancy Winland at the April meeting of the town board director of economic development, Walt Ellis, said. There's approximately 200 properties and 90 businesses that would be involved.
At their May 14th meeting, the Larimer County Commissioners, using the consent agenda, agreed to spend over $1,800,000. Observer Mary Bowman says these funds will be broken down like this. From the Regional Opioid Abatement Council, $400,000 will go to Fort Collins Rescue Mission Harvest Farms to expand capacity at Harvest Farms. Another $461,000 will go to Abundance Foundation to create safe spaces, opportunities to make social connections, and to provide supportive housing. In addition, the intergovernmental agreement for $3,694 to provide Larimer County's local matching funding towards a Federal Transit Administration Rural Funds Grant. This funding will be used to manage and deliver coordinated transportation services for older adults and people with disabilities in certain parts of Larimer County. The Business Investment Agreement for Economic Development between the county and Anheuser-Busch to provide a personal property tax incentive of up to $576,000 between May 14th, 2024 and December 31st of 2028. And James, I read that wrong. I'm going to read it again. So the county is providing to Anheuser-Busch a property tax incentive of up to $576,557. And that will be allocated between May 14th and December 31st, 2028. The company requested this tax reduction to help offset costs related to an investment of approximately $71 million for construction and equipment to implement carbon neutral and other technologies to increase facility efficiency and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The completion of the project is estimated to retain approximately 400 part-time and full-time employees. And finally, the last $380,000 will go to the Larimer County Department of Human Services and Jacob Family Services, which operates the Jacob Center, to provide child mentoring and family course services.
Observer Nancy Winland notes that the Community Impact Deputy Zachary Anderson of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office spoke at the Wellington Board of Trustees meeting on May 14th. The Sheriff's Office spearheaded a pilot program in Berthoud using the Flock cameras from the Colorado Department of Transportation. Flock cameras are placed on the ground and take photos of vehicles and license plates only. There are no drivers seen in these photos. Officers use these photos to initiate an alert in the instances of stolen vehicles, locating felons, or vehicles associated with Amber Alerts. The program is now expanding to the rest of Larimer County, including Wellington. The Flox camera is the vendor for the cameras. 3 cameras are in use in Wellington, with 2 to 3 more added in the future. There were no comments on where the cameras were placed, nor how the locations are chosen. Also, at that meeting, the board unanimously approved the endorsement of trustee Ed Cannon as the nominee for the Colorado Municipal League Executive Board.
At the Larimer County Board of Commissioners meeting on May 21st, Observer Lee Thielen tells us that Josh Roberts, mitigation coordinator for the county, announced an award of $9.7 million from the U.S. Forest Service for community wildfire mitigation activities in the Red Feather Lakes area. The grant will implement current community plans and was supported by the NOCO Watershed Coalition. This 5-year grant will focus on wildfire mitigation activities, education on defensible space, evacuation route improvements, post-treatment of biomass, and effective administration of the project. Also at the Commissioners' meeting on the 21st, Laura Walker, Director of Human and Economic Development for Larimer County, spoke. She introduced Brian Kinsley, Superintendent of the Poudre School District, Todd Picone, Chief Operating Officer of the Thompson School District, and Cheryl Zimlick, CEO of Bohemian Foundation. They discussed the American Rescue Plan collaborative project for expansion of career and technical education, programming, and facilities for Larimer County's 2 school districts. This grant of $1 million each to Poudre School District and Thompson School District will support education in pathways such as manufacturing, welding, computer-driven design, medical careers, construction trades, first responders, culinary arts, and others. The grants are matched by Bohemian Foundation. The districts are working with 15 industry partners to create a pipeline from school to careers. The commissioners voted to approve the grant.
Let's finish with governments by going back to Wellington for a couple of highlights from the Board of Trustees meeting on May 28th. From Observer Nancy Wetland, Financial Director Nick Redib told the trustees the budget is pretty much on track, even though operating funds are under budget. But the city has received its 2021 property tax from the state. The 2022 property tax will probably be paid in the fall, pending the completion of another audit. Westwater LLC has been hired to develop a long-term water resource development plan. They will kick off the $150,000 project in June and will be finished by the end of the year. The board will participate in fact-finding discussions. Finally, Ed Cannon expressed his desire to put on next November's ballot an item to make Wellington a home rule city. However, other trustees felt they needed more information and asked for a delay of the discussion until 2025.
We thank the Colorado Citizen Observer Corps for their fine work in keeping an eye on the spending of our local governments. You can read their reports free of charge at coloradocitizenobservers.substack.com. If you're interested in becoming a paid observer, visit their website for more details, citizenobserversco.co. James, there's so much going on in Larimer County in June. We have Pride Month activities as well as Juneteenth celebrations. Just Google Pride in Larimer County and Juneteenth in Larimer County to find out where and when the festivities are taking place. We also have a special election on June 25th. Ballots went out on June 3rd. And so, to honor that, we'll have a special edition of Snapshot News with Tina Harris, the Larimer County Clerk and Recorder, who will talk about the importance of this special election. Stay tuned for details.
Citizens, remember to vote. And we hope to see you at some of these fun June events. And if you have any news tips for us, email us at lcsnapshots.news@gmail.com. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for listening. I'm James Sims.
Our editor is Anatoly Samsonov, and I'm Jorie Kramer. Join us next time for Larimer County Snapshot News on Spotify or at fcpublicmedia.org.
Adam Eggleston, a community activist, and Jorie recently sat down to talk about mental health in Larimer County. Here's their conversation.
Well, everyone, we still haven't come up with a name for this section of the podcast. That was Adam's assignment, and he didn't do it. Oh, boy, I'm throwing you under the bus, aren't I?
Great opening.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. This is Adam Eggleston is joining me, and we are here to talk about what's going on around Larimer County. So my first question to you, Adam, is did you make it to both or either of the big once-in-a-lifetime events that happened in Larimer County last month? We had the Aurora Borealis, and we had Cosmo the Corpse Flower bloom. So what did you make it to either of those?
So I did get a peek at the Aurora Borealis.
Oh, lucky duck.
Just a short peek, but luckily I marked myself safe from standing in line to watch a large stinky flower.
Oh, well, you might not believe it, but my husband and I kind of forgot to go. We were going to go on the day it opened, but my youngest daughter went and stood in line she got there right at 9, and when they opened, and she stood in line for an hour and a half. And then by the time she left, it was a 3-hour wait. So we decided, well, we'll go on Tuesday because it bloomed on Memorial Day weekend. And we thought, well, we'll go Tuesday because it was supposed to stay blooming for 3 or 4 days. Mm-hmm. But Tuesday morning rolled around and we just went on with life. So I enjoyed the pictures.
All of my friends posted the pictures of them standing next to the flower. Yeah. And I was like, this seems like the most non-exciting, almost like someone went to Comic-Con or went to a concert, but it was for a flower.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. So my Facebook thread was full of flower pictures. So, to each their own. And,
right.
So.
Well, at least you saw the aurora. I actually also slept through the family text group going crazy. But they were texting, they weren't calling. So, and usually even that, it makes my phone buzz, and that will wake me up. But I was sleeping so deep that night, nothing.
So I'm a night owl, so I'm typically up late, and I wake up kind of early.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of when I got a chance to see it. So.
Well, that was perfect then. Yeah, I went out about 10. I guess to lock up the chickens. I know you're supposed to do it at twilight, but I sometimes forget. So I was out locking up my chickens, and I thought, I'll look for it. And there was a white glow that I could see, actually kind of the southeast, and then another one to the northwest. And I thought, that's just, even though it was clear over my backyard, I thought, that's just a reflection on the clouds, so I didn't pay any attention. But no, that was the start of the aurora.
Yeah.
But instead, I stood there and I looked at the moon and the stars because it was just this beautiful little sliver of a moon. And the yard was scented. We have a couple of lilac bushes, and they were in full bloom. And I didn't realize they were nocturnal, but the scent was so much heavier in that moonlight. And so it was just, I probably stood out there for 10 minutes just looking at the moon and the stars and smelling the lilacs. So it was worth it for that.
It was such a perfect night.
It was.
So, and one of my favorite things to do throughout the summer is I take drives up towards the mountains and get away from the city lights.
Yeah, I love to do that.
And there's a couple spots where I'll go up and it's safe, and I'll pull my car over and just, gaze at the stars, and it's just beautiful.
I love to do that too. Just go lay on a picnic table or something and just lean back and watch them.
I really find that downtime, especially in the mountains where I don't have cell service, I don't have connections, really helps me reset, recharge, mental kind of refreshing. So it's kind of a nice.
That's really cool.
Nice kind of way to, especially after long days or challenging weeks, it's good to.
Yeah, and you have kind of a stressful job, so lots of emotional input, I'm sure. And
Yeah, some days are really hard, some days aren't. So, taking care of one's mental support and health
Is important.
is important. And, fortunately, the counties are doing a lot to, really
It is.
increase the mental health support and awareness
And
throughout the community.
just refresh us real briefly what your position is.
So I'm a victim advocate or victim witness specialist with the sheriff's department. And so part of that is I'm out and speaking with victims of crime as the primary function of my role. So sometimes some pretty heavy conversations and challenges.
I can't imagine. Very traumatic.
Very traumatic, but also really it's refreshing to see the support and just the humanity of the community whenever things go bad for individuals and how much support there is out there. So the challenging times are often short, and the uplifting part and the opportunity to help others makes it very well worth it. Yeah.
And to make sure their mental health is helped and guarded. And, we were talking before that we started recording that May was National Mental Health Month, and then June is Pride Month. And so we want to talk a little bit as we go on with this segment about that intersection. But could I share just a couple of statistics on that? These are actually come from the League of Women Voters Observer Corps of Colorado. And these were from the observers that went to the county commissioners' meetings in April. But Laura Walker, who's the interim director of Larimer County Behavioral Health Services, spoke to the commissioners in April, and she told them that 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a mental health condition in their lifetime. 46%. I know I'm one of them. And half of those will develop the conditions by age 14. And almost 60,000 Larimer County residents, 60,000, reported poor mental health in the past year. And 42%, and this one broke my heart, 42% of Larimer County high school students felt sad or hopeless and stopped participating in activities. 46% felt their stress level was unmanageable, and 20% seriously considered suicide. So the commissioners are doing a lot, and granted they haven't solved the problem, but they're doing things like they've secured a grant for transporting people from rural areas who are having mental health issues. And we've also, last December, they opened the behavioral health, the Longview Behavioral Health Services campus over on West Trilby Road. And so to bring, again, some much needed services to Larimer County.
And that the Behavioral Health Center, in their first month they were open, had nearly 900 visitors, guests. And so it's definitely a very needed resource.
It is.
And then fortunately with some of that funding, since the building is complete now, we'll start cycling out to the rural communities. And so there'll be more increased funding for mental health support in like
great.
the Estes Valley, Red Feather, Loveland, Berthoud, Wellington, Fort Collins, throughout the entire county. So thankfully we passed that about 5 or 6 years ago now, that we're starting to really see the benefits from that, and also kind of bringing to light the need. And I think the comfort level to communicate with that and just the need has really done a lot to destigmatize mental health, and just how many people just experiences everything from burnout to different levels of depression and anxiety, and just there's so many different aspects that impacts our mental health. And the teens and the kids in the schools, speaking with administrators and principals is hard. A lot of it, with the a lot of principals are our age, and they remember when we went to school, we had to deal with a bully, and we knew who that bully was.
Right.
And now they're having to deal with online bullying, where it could be hundreds of people that may not even know
yes.
them. And so they're contributing a lot of that to the mental anguish and challenges that these students and kids are having. And
Right.
a lot of the underserved population, talking about Pride Month, the LGBTQ plus, A plus, and the minority population are impacted significantly more because sometimes they don't see that there's the same type of resource for their
Right.
needs or their specificities.
And it's hard because it's I spoke with when I was in counseling. I had a male counselor who was probably about my age, and I just kept thinking, what does this guy know about what I'm going through? And so to have to have counselors and therapists that look like you and that have a similar background to their client, I should put it that way, it has to be crucial to success.
I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
As you don't have to 100% be in the same position,
Right.
but at least have an idea of what someone may be going through.
Right.
And I think that helps with it. I think it goes both ways because those that maybe have overcome their struggles and can help others overcome feel that they're more empowered to do so, and they get the reward to do so. Whereas, and the person seeking help really can attach and relate and feel comfortable
Yes.
fully divulging and relaxing enough to really start healing.
Yeah. Very true.
Part of, as a victims advocate, we really try to help, and we give a lot of resources for mental health support, from Summit Stone to other nonprofits to Longview around the city. And sometimes they can get in pretty quickly, but also sometimes there's a wait list.
The wait list
Because
is
as
incredible.
you start to look for specificities or specific kind of needs,
Right.
those services become reduced, and so there's more of a wait list. But I am
Even though the need might be greater for some reason. Yeah.
so, and it's really interesting, just seeing how, and we have a really good continuum of care in Larimer County, where they work. A lot of the agencies and the nonprofits work well together, and will refer and will try to make sure that they can find support and resources for individuals that need it. There's just, unfortunately, there's more demand
Than what can be met. And now you were telling me there's a new, I know down in Denver, there's for members of the LGBTQ community, there's a new support group that's formed.
Yeah, it's Prism, and it's they're just opening up, I think, on the 6th or 7th of next month.
Of June.
June.
Yeah.
June, yes. And they're to help with counseling therapy, and the organization kind of came out of the aftermath of the Club Q shooting in the Colorado Springs 18 months ago, and it should be a really good use for tools. It's going to focus on Denver, kind of south, because there isn't as much down kind of in the
because
South
there's
Denver.
the Colfax Center, I think it's called.
Colfax
but they
Center, yeah.
get Central, and then maybe,
And we have safe places, NOCO safe places up here, and a couple different resources and supports up in Northern Colorado.
BIPOC Alliance.
BIPOC.
Yeah.
And so so we're a little bit farther ahead than some of the Denver and South regions of
good.
the state. So, and we still need more. We still need more just community for LGBTQ community. I go to the R Bar occasionally, and I have so much fun time. But it's weird that there's only one
I've often thought that too.
alternative or LGBT kind of focused bar in Fort Collins, with being kind of,
Well, for a long time it just wasn't safe.
yeah.
And maybe in the last decade or so the tide might have turned, but it's been scary.
It has, and it's we still see that. We do or Child Safe does a Boo Trivia.
And you're on the board for Child Safe. You want to tell us a little bit what Child Safe is?
Yes, Child Safe is a nonprofit that provides therapy for victims of childhood abuse, primarily sexual abuse. And so our therapists work from young age all the way up into 50s and 60s.
Really?
The average person that may have been abused as a child, they don't report till at the average age of 50.
Really? Mm-hmm. And there's no statute of limitations on child abuse?
There is if there's evidence sometimes if it's happened 40 or 50 years ago, there may not be enough to do a prosecution and to move forward. So that's why we don't see a lot of prosecutions or kind of criminal actions. But those individuals have been living with that burden, that weight
terrible.
For decades.
Yeah, right.
So
the shame keeps them
and you know, sometimes families families may not believe, or society changes.
Right.
You know, where we're at right now society wise, and the openness and ability to communicate, you know, those situations and challenges is so much better now than it was 30 years ago when some of these victimizations may have happened. So
yes, definitely.
But with Child Safe, we try to do, because it's a heavy topic, we do some fundraising events and more kind of uplifting. So at the end of October, we do a Boo Trivia. So we do a really fun trivia. It's Halloween themed. And our MC is Chloe Katz, which is an amazing drag queen out of Denver. And she is awesome. And so we have so much fun with the whole Halloween and Boo Trivia. And it really does help kind of normalize everything and just have fun. It's a really fun night. We occasionally get some very, very, very few individuals that push back on the whole concept. But it's, you know, 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 2,000.
Really?
And so I think if rewind 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, that ratio may be different.
It may be.
So I think we're moving in the right direction. We're not perfect, and the society's not perfect, but I think at least regionally, we're getting into a much better spot.
Well, and that kind of ties in with the whole, like, you know, you were saying the LGBTQ acceptance and removing the stigma of mental health as well. And that's a big thing that I know Commissioner Shattuck McNally has said she wants to help the county do. And I think normalizing it, just talking about it, saying, yeah, you know, I was having trouble, I went to therapy. Yeah. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, and that's a way, something we can all help, and not just telling somebody who's a friend, if you've got a friend who's depressed, saying, oh, you'll get over it, go for a walk. Yeah, well, maybe, but if that doesn't help, then encourage them to seek professional help.
I think that's perfect. Commissioner, she is doing an amazing job kind of being on the forefront and getting grants and funding for support for that. And it's interesting. I think as we normalize mental health, conversations around mental health, and normalize conversations just in general around minority groups and diversity, I think both will help balance out each other and benefit each other.
Definitely.
I know the county has a long-term plan for the behavioral health Longview to include youth and teen campus. There is plans at PVH to do mental health wing space for adolescents.
Oh, nice.
And then we're starting to see through different nonprofits where they're forming adolescent groups to discuss their mental health challenges.
That's awesome.
And there's a survey that went around that's still gone around. We haven't had enough respondents to make it statistically valid. But the respondents we're getting a much higher respondent level from the teens and adolescent age than the adults.
Wow.
Yeah, they're taking and so we're getting really good kind of that neurofeedback and that.
Great.
And so I think
Kids know.
They
They
know.
know. They're seeing it and they know. That's
And I think
Yeah.
we also do hear some of the really challenging aspects. And from being in meetings throughout the county, we hear the negatives and the big stories. And this numbers of kids that's having mental health challenges is extreme. But the average, when you start to talk with them and really start opening up, they are so reliant and they're so amazing at being open and identifying that they're having struggles, where I think our generation, we're so closed off because we got taught to just kind of bottle it up and not
we don't.
express our.
No.
Yeah.
We don't talk about mental health.
No.
No. Nope. Yeah. Well, this is great, and it's encouraging that the county is aware of the work that needs to be done and has done such good work so far. And so we'll just continuing on.
I think we'll keep moving forward, and I am excited about our citizens. We passed the tax for mental health, and it's going well, and we're doing some good things with it, and I think it's going to continue to get better. And then with June being Pride Month, there's some really, really awesome, fun events around the city and the county.
A lot of them are at the mall. No,
Yeah.
that's Juneteenth. Which is also in June. That's the one that's at the Foothills Mall. But
Juneteenth is at the Foothills Mall. I think like Music City, Hot Chicken's doing events, and so there's a whole bunch of events around the city and the county.
So June is a great month. We've got Pride. We've got Juneteenth. And my birthday. So there
Happy
you go.
birthday.
Well, thank you. It's not a milestone like your recent one was, but
I hit close to midlife. So midlife crisis, I have to go buy like a sports car or something.
yeah. I loved my 40s. I really did. They were good. That was a great decade. Probably my favorite. Well, the 30s were my favorite decade so far. Well, every decade's my favorite. So
I figure every
just gets
decade
better.
that I can remember is going to be a good decade.
It just gets better and better. So
I'm excited.
me too. Well, Adam, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to wrap up with or tell the audience?
No, I think if you go onto the Fort Collins City's website or Facebook page or the county's or Loveland's, you can find all the different events. June's a great month for farmers markets and events and Pride Month and mental health support too. So
and make sure you're registered to vote so you can vote in the primary on June 25th. And
that's coming up. If you register as an independent, you'll get 2 ballots.
But only vote one or they won't count.
Yep, only fill out one.
Yeah.
And then if you're registered Democrat or Republican, you'll get that one.
And you can go to vote411.org and get information on how to register to vote, as well as information on the candidates that they upload themselves. So it's nonpartisan and just a great way to be an informed voter. And it's easy and it's free. So
those are the 2 good things:
Yes.
easy and free.
Easy and free. So well, thanks, Adam.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure. And hope you have a great June. And again, happy birthday.
Well, thank you, and I hope you have a great June too. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mystery writer Kathleen Donnelly has created a fictitious northern Colorado mountain town where murder and crime form part of the background. In her series, The National Forest Canine Mysteries, Forest Service law enforcement Officer Maya Thompson and Canine Officer Juniper hunt drug dealers, serial killers, and other criminals in order to bring them to justice. Kathleen spoke to Jorie recently about how she came to write mysteries featuring women in law enforcement and their fierce, loyal dogs.
Joining me today on our Authors and Artists segment is author Kathleen Donnelly. Kathleen is a resident of Larimer County and one of my favorite authors, just full disclosure here. So I'm going to let Kathleen tell us a little bit about herself. Kathleen, you're from the area, right? From Fort Collins?
I am. Thank you so much for having me here today. And I grew up, I'm a Colorado native, and I'm a Fort Collins native. And I was born in Poudre Valley Hospital, so I am that much of a Fort Collins native. But I write the National Forest Canine Mystery Series, and I'm co-owner of Sherlock Hounds Detection Canines, although we're getting ready to end our business after 25 years. But it's been a fun run, and it's been fun being a canine handler for them.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about Sherlock Hounds, even though it's you're in the process of your co-owner is retiring and the business has run its course or run out of scent. I don't know what I don't know. There's got to be a pun in there somewhere.
Well, we're in Colorado, so I don't know if we'll ever run out of scent. But
yeah, true.
But yeah, it was a proactive drug dog program for schools, and so they knew we came on a regular random basis. The dogs are trained to find drugs, alcohol, and gunpowder. And it started in 1999, so that was with Columbine, and that's why we decided to go ahead and have them find gunpowder. That was a decision made then, and I've been co-owner since, I think, 2010, and it's been fantastic. It just... we're all ready to kind of move on to the next phase of our lives, but it's something I will always cherish. And amazing people, amazing memories, amazing dogs. Most important part.
You know, I love following your newsletter because you talk about those dogs and the stories with them, and that's really fun. And you can find the newsletter at KathleenDonnelly.com, right?
That's right. That's right. That's my website, and a pop-up will come up. And if you choose to sign up for the newsletter, you can also download my free little ebook called Working Tales, The Stories Behind the Canines.
Oh, how fun. How fun. Yeah. And, so Sherlock Hounds was sort of your gateway into writing mysteries, was it? Or what was your gateway? How did you decide to go from this great job with these wonderful dogs into being a writer?
It's probably a lifelong passion.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember exactly how old I was. I'm going to say around 8 or 9.
Really?
When Murder, She Wrote came on.
Oh, right.
And my mom and I would sit down and watch it. And I just thought Jessica Fletcher was the best person ever.
Oh, so smart.
Yes,
so smart.
She was great. I never worried about the fact that Cabot Cove had so much crime, but
oh well.
So none of us will visit there, but that kind of piqued my interest in mysteries. And then later on in high school, I had a librarian who handed me a Mary Higgins Clark book, and I just was hooked. I was a journalism major here in town at Colorado State University.
Go Rams.
Yeah, go Rams. And
all the best people were journalism majors at CSU. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I agree, especially in this room.
Yes. Full disclosure, I was one internship short of getting a degree in it, but that's another bitter story. So, go Rams. Yeah, anyway.
Rams. They should give you an honorary degree.
Right.
So, yeah, I did the journalism, but I found I didn't love it like I loved reading fiction and writing fiction. It's a hard job, and that's when I kind of segued off into horse training and then eventually the dog work, which I know is not a normal like journalism to horse training to dog work. But.
Yeah, there's some dots there that need connecting somehow.
Yeah, growing up here in Colorado, I rode horses.
Oh, did you?
When I got out of school, I just started training horses. It was just going to be a job until I figured out what I wanted to do. And that job ended up going on for about 5 years. And then probably about 5-6 years, maybe longer. And then I had the opportunity to take on the dog work, and I thought, I'll give this a try. And that was also something I was like, I'll just do this until I figure out what I want to do, which I guess it has all worked out because I figured out what I want to do, which is write mysteries. And I'm very lucky that the series is going strong. And
it is. It is. And you've got 3 books in the series right now. Why don't you tell us about the series? Sure.
So the first book is Chasing Justice, and that introduces all the characters, including Maya Thompson, my main character. She's a U.S. Forest Service law enforcement officer. Marine veteran. She's dealing with PTSD, and she's paired up with a Malinois kind of unexpectedly. She's sworn off working
Yes.
canines thanks to
Yeah.
her past. But all of a sudden, she's